Hey crew! I've owned my M2 CS for a couple weeks now, but still I'm well within that 1,200 mile break-in period, and that's about to change, because I'm going to take this car on a road trip, which is actually something I've planned on doing since before I got the car, but I knew that before I did that, I would need two important things done. The first would be to apply a paint protection film to the entire front end, because the last thing I want on my drive is for some rock to fly up from a truck and damage this gorgeous velvet blue paint job or the gloss black of the front end. So I went to see my friend Austin at Phenom Film in Carlsbad, California, and he and his team went to work applying a high quality film to the whole front end, which is a task I do not envy at all. Look at all those sharp lines and grooves that they had to work that film in through and navigate around in a way that you honestly can't tell the film has been applied unless you're right up close and personal with certain parts of the car. And that's just going to give me this peace of mind as I'm driving. They also applied it to the carbon fiber mirror caps because I don't want those damaged either. The second thing I needed was some heat rejection from a window tint. And some people just do window tinting for aesthetics. This is not going to be that case. This is a 70% transparency tint because when I'm filming, if I go too dark with the window tint, like I did in my Demon 170, then the entire horizon is blown out. So this brings in a lot of light while still giving me all the great heat rejection benefits of a ceramic tint. And I have that applied to all the windows, including the back glass and even the windshield. So I will be perfectly comfortable. And again, now confident, not worried about the paint. I'm so grateful to the team at Phenom Film. If you need these services, which I guarantee if you love your car, you do, then reach out to Phenom Film. I'll put all their info in the video description. All right, I got my bags loaded into this spacious trunk. It's only gonna be one overnight, so not much luggage, but if I had more, brought someone with me perhaps, then I would have the space for that. Now it's just about time to go, but I have to carefully make my way into the high side bolster fixed carbon bucket chairs. There we go. Hey Kevin crew, thanks for joining for this road trip video in my M2 CS. Before we go, let me just show you where I'm going to put the things I'm bringing with me, like my iPhone 17 Pro, which is sitting on this wireless charging pad. And then in the opening where a cup holder should go, I just have my sunglasses sitting because there isn't dedicated storage for these, nowhere where the lenses are going to be protected and they're going to be secured. So I don't feel great about them just sitting here, but it's all I've got. So I also have a USB-C cable there plugged in, and I couldn't fit my 32-ounce water bottle anywhere. Instead, in the slanted door pocket, I have this 24-ounce bottle. Guess that'll work. And then I've got my Easy Pass or Fast Track for the toll roads. And with that, I think we're ready to go. So, start. Inline 6 has come to life. And I can see right here on the odometer, 430 miles. I need to get to 1,200, so I've got a lot of ground to cover. Thankfully, on this drive up to Paso Robles, I will cover about 500 miles and really make a dent in that total. Down goes the parking brake. I am now going to roll on forward over the curb ramp on the left and the gutter on the right. Cut the wheel and cruise on out. My first stint behind the wheel won't be too long because I'm hungry and I want breakfast. So I'm gonna pause in Long Beach, which is apparently only about 20 minutes from here. Normally it takes a lot longer to get there because of traffic, but I waited until traffic had died down. So this should be pretty darn smooth. And during this drive, the whole journey in fact, I'm gonna be paying attention to a few things. The first will be seat comfort, because I mean, you just look at these carbon buckets and you saw the way I got into them gingerly, and I don't think you're expecting I'll still feel at ease by the time I make it to Paso Robles. But I will say, despite their aggressive look, when you're actually in them, they're pretty well padded, and you do have a fair number of adjustments, at least to the forward and backward and the back angle tilt and to the side bolsters. So considering I'm not doing a performance drive, I have those bolsters relaxed as much as possible. And so far I feel pretty good. Next is gonna be cabin volume. How loud is it inside this car at highway speeds, especially on not smooth tarmac, but concrete slabs like this one? with defined grooves in them and tons of changes in road surface. So let me quiet up and listen in. Well, it's not quiet. You can hear the outside traffic. You can hear a good amount of hum from these Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, again, on this road surface. So I do have to raise my voice quite a bit to feel like you're gonna hear clearly what I'm saying. How annoyed am I gonna be with this after a few hundred miles? We'll find out. In the plus column, the visibility out of this car is actually great. No issues seeing out over that hood. The side windows are good sized, and even the ones at the rear quarter, there aren't terribly thick pillars either. And the view out the back, because you can fold down those headrests, which I folded one, but I forgot to fold the other one, but you can get both of them down, and seeing out the back is no trouble at all. There's also blind spot monitoring to help with anything I couldn't see. But yeah, with the naked eye, I have a lot of confidence maneuvering around traffic. One feature I don't have in my Demon 170, and I did in my Blackwing, but I really didn't use much, and I'm certainly gonna have to get used to using more in the CS, is a head-up display, which in this car is really quite useful because it doesn't just show me my posted speed limit or the speed I'm actually traveling. It also gives me my navigation guidance pulled from the CarPlay or the built-in navigation system shown right in my sight line, so I can keep my eyes up on the road and still know exactly where I need to go next. And now that I'm back on surface streets and I have been sitting at this light for a while, it is nice to have the auto hold feature turned on so I can take my foot off the brake and I won't roll forward. Just relax until it's time to go. Boy, these roads have certainly seen better days. But even the stiffened CS, with its adaptive damper set to comfort, is absorbing this punishment quite well. Not transferring all of it harshly to me. And the brakes, well, you gotta be careful. You gotta finesse them to smoothly come up to a stop, but it is possible. You can hear the seatbelt clanging against the carbon fiber of the seat back. I may need to buckle that in because that does happen quite a lot. But I will do that after I pause here at Bacon Broil for breakfast. Now I'm going to nervously street park the CS as close to the curb as possible. I wish there was a camera that, you know, like surround view would show you how close you are to the curb. I did have that in the Blackwing, don't have that here. So I'm just gonna have to eyeball it. Because I do not want to be sideswiped, but I also don't want to scrape up the wheels. So that's gonna have to do. But let's hear it for folding door mirrors. Please be in the same condition when I'm done. Can't do it, too scared. There are too many cars going too quickly beside mine. I need to find somewhere else to park. Yes, to find spaces where accidents still seem to happen, but I'm gonna take my chances here. Man, that place was absolutely slammed. So I'm gonna have to eat my breakfast on the ducktail of my CS, but I can't just put this stuff on the paint. I'm gonna need to do something. So let's protect it. For my first course, I'll be having eggs over medium and a hamburger patty. No, really, I know what I'm doing here. I really do. This is delicious. Course number 2, cheese pocket French toast. I'm excited. Okay, so now I'm just going to refuse to start a road trip any other way than this. Oh, it's so good. Oh, and now that I can barely move, it's time to settle in for the longest leg of my journey here on the way to Carpinteria. Darn it! I don't think I can bring my orange juice unless I try it in that turbo. That's terribly inconvenient. And I definitely can't get it while driving. That's not safe. Darn it. Rejoining the highway now. And until I hit brake-in, I'm not supposed to go past 5,000 RPM. But I do want to show a little of the passing power, so in the M1 mode, I've got it set to normal sport, so I can just quickly and easily make my way over to the lane of my choosing, while not going too far into the throttle, and I don't really need to. With 523 horsepower, and 479 pound-feet of torque. The CS does not struggle to generate momentum in a pleasant way. This is going to be about 2 hours of uninterrupted seat time, so as I'm getting close to Carpinteria, I should have a better idea of the long-haul comfort or lack thereof of these seats. But on my way there, I did want to listen to this Harman Kardon sound system. So I've got wireless Apple CarPlay going here. I'm gonna find the song, turn up the dial. Physical volume knob, so good. And that's about 65% right there. Let's go a little more. Okay, that sound system is, well, a few things. One, it blocked out about 85% of the outside road noise. Still, some of that tire hum is entering through the cabin. If I absolutely cranked the volume dial, yes, I'd probably block out the rest of the road noise, but it would just be a little too loud for me. Now, the quality of the system, the clarity was there. I could pick out the individual notes quite well. The mids and highs were solid. The lows and the bass were really underwhelming though. I'm definitely gonna have to go into the settings and crank up the bass, but long story short, it's acceptable. I knew when I got close to LA there would be traffic waiting for me, and sure enough, here it is. So I am going to use some of the driving assistance features that I do have as standard in this car, like adaptive cruise control, and set my speed, adjust my following distance, and maintain a gap to now a Chevy Silverado in front of me without needing to go to the brake or throttle to do so. And that's awfully nice. There isn't steering assistance or full hands-free highway driving like you can get in some BMW models, but I do have a lane keep assist, so if I wasn't paying attention for a fraction of a second, started to leave the lane, it would correct me back, though it's not gonna hug that center line. So it's always an attention required system, but man, in heavy traffic like this, it's very much appreciated. Though I have noticed that when things are really bad and slow-moving traffic becomes temporary parking, like you're sitting still for more than a couple seconds, the adaptive cruise control system, we'll see if it does it here, will actually just sort of time out. Like when the vehicles start moving away, I think it did it right there, it's not going to start moving again. I have to press on the throttle to make it re-engage. And I have actually experienced more sophisticated systems like this where it will figure out cars moving away, it needs to re-engage adaptive cruise on its own. Here I have to do some manual labor. I am descending now into the grapevine, and things are looking very green after a ton of rain the last week or so. And it's also very bright over here, so I need to make sure that my sun visor does slide. It slides like 3 inches. That's not helpful when the sun is over here. I guess it's better than nothing. At least it's not hot thanks to that ceramic window tint, but it is still bright, and this is not a great solution, BMW. Be better. Oh, look at that. F87 M2. It's prettier than my car. It just is. But mine's faster and heavier. I like the plate too. M2 Club. Can I join, please? I spy ocean over yonder, and isn't it lovely? That also means I'm just about 10 minutes out or so from Carpinteria and my late lunch spot, which also means that I've had the better part of 2 hours in these seats, so it's time to share my thoughts. And like I initially felt, the seat padding has proven to be sufficiently soft and cushy enough for me. I'm not really feeling a loss of circulation in my legs, although it is kind of bothersome that if I have adaptive cruise control going and I wanted to just move my right leg over a little bit, I can't do so comfortably because of the carbon fiber hump. My legs have to stay in their little slots. But really the biggest problem I've had with these seats is that even though I have the bolsters as splayed out as they can get, I work out a little bit, so my back is perhaps wider than some, and therefore I'm feeling pinched right in here with the design of the seat itself, not the adjusting elements to it. So for the last 2 hours, it's been fine, but if I had to spend any longer in these seats without getting out and stretching a little bit, that could be bothersome. I'm a bit jealous of those surfers out there. Those waves look excellent. But I doubt they're going to eat as well as I am when I stop in here at the Food Liaison. And I'm gonna be smarter parking this time because even though I don't have the forward-facing camera I would like, I do at least have parking sensors to tell me when it's time to stop. This chicken adobe bowl looks pretty good. I've got a good portion of chicken there, grilled onions, kale, almonds, sauce, quinoa, and tomatoes, which I don't eat, but let's try this. That's good flavor right there. That hit the spot. And now I've got another hour and a half. Darn it. Hour and a half to get to Pismo Beach. The scenery is getting awfully pretty up here above Santa Barbara. I can see the water out there, the lush hills. This is a proper road trip setting. And from experience, I do know that down this road there are some proper twisties. And I would love to explore them, but I haven't really hit break-ins. I can have a little fun, right? Keep it below 5,000. Just appreciate the G-force. Still like this car. Even driven slowly. Because the steering is so much better in this car than the regular M2. Oh, flooded, that's a good sign. The way they've recalibrated the system, the platform is more lively with the stiffened engine and transmission mounts and the additional rear camber angle. It wants to go fast, and I want to indulge it, but I can't quite yet. I'm so sorry, car. I know what this car can do. I went to the first drive of it, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that, go check it out. It was more flooded than this sign warned us it would be, that's for sure. Lots of sliding, lots of rain. Oh, well, I'll remain unsatisfied for a few hundred more miles. I do want to check back in on the cabin volume now that I'm on a smoother piece of tarmac, not concrete, still at a good clip. Let me listen in. So much more tolerable. I mean, still, I don't get much in the way of wind noise. The tire hum is the biggest difference. There really isn't a lot of that coming from the Cup 2s. And this all of a sudden becomes a very pleasant way to pour on the miles, especially when you're soaking in sights like that. The rolling hills, and the lights, and the water. I'm so happy I could sing. But you don't want that. I'm now arriving in Pismo Beach. But before I take a break by the water, I need to stop and collect a snack. Right here at Old West Cinnamon Rolls. The rolls have been secured. And just look at that shoreline. Really is such a shame, you know, that I had to take this road trip, put on those miles. Look at this gorgeous shoreline at sunset. Eat this delicious cinnamon roll. Somebody's got to do it, you know. Real talk though, God is amazing. He has protected and sustained my family through a lot of very difficult things, including me getting hit by a drunk driver and taking 2 years to recover. He works in those small, intimate ways, and then he works in very grand, beautiful ways like this. So I'm feeling very grateful. And also for the cinnamon roll, which I thought they were smaller, so I got 2. I'm not gonna eat the second one, guys. I'm not that much of a glutton. I really want to, though. So I might have misjudged how far it is to my Airbnb in San Miguel, just north of Paso Robles, from here in Pismo Beach. It's an hour away. So because it will be pitch black by the time I get there, I'm gonna have to show you my Airbnb tomorrow. But first, some quick night drive vibes in the CS with ambient lighting here under the air vents and CS logos there on the carbon fiber door inserts. Pretty cool. Good morning. Here is the cozy cottage where I stayed last night. Comfortable king bed, nice fireplace going on, plenty of space for me and my stuff. But the real kicker was this morning, seeing this property, just a 360-degree view of the San Miguel and Paso Robles area. So pleasant. And here on the other side, it just keeps going. And making this stay extra special was the host. Pat and her husband Jeff were so accommodating. They brought me a bottle of wine when I got up here. They had coffee for me waiting. And they're also from Orange County. They retired here about 6 years ago and are absolutely loving it. There's a horse prancing on down. And to get up here was a dirt/gravelly road that my rear-wheel drive, track-tired M2 CS did quite well on, going super slowly to be careful. And now it's time, careful, to go put some fuel in this CS and make the journey back home. This was the dirt road I mentioned, and it's a good thing I'm going straight to the fuel station because I've only got about 50, well, it keeps going up as I go downhill, but about 50 miles of range. Made it to the fuel station. Now the CS is rated at 16 mpg in the city, 23 on the highway, and 19 combined. Not terrible given the power it makes, but the problem is that its gas tank is only 13.7 gallons, so you're only getting about 260 miles on a tank. In theory, because in practice, during my road trip, I've averaged 24.5 miles per gallon. At current fuel prices of $5.19 for the required 91 octane gas, it's gonna cost me about 71 bucks to fill this tank, and there isn't capless fueling, so I have to work just a little bit harder. As I settle in for this long drive home, I wanna summarize my thoughts on the M2 CS as a road trip vehicle specifically. Things you would care about on a long drive like this one. Passing power. Now, I know I didn't dabble really much in this at all during my drive because I want to let this engine properly break in, but it was made clear to me during the BMW First Drive event in South Carolina that this car has an abundance of passing power when I get the all clear. Next, smooth ride. Now, that's not a characteristic you would normally associate with a car that is tuned for the racetrack to be stiffened and lively and tight, and yet that's the experience I've had behind the wheel, whether it's on city streets that are chewed up or on long stretches of highway. The ride has a great deal of compliance to it. You settle in and you just cruise. Now I want to bundle in all of what I would call the user-friendly technologies of this car. Things like adaptive cruise control, which is so handy in heavy traffic, though I do wish it had that full stop and go setting. The lane keep assist system, excellent. If you accidentally just start to depart your lane, it's going to correct you. Blind spot monitoring, also great, but importantly, you do have that excellent naked eye visibility as well. Look at this. This is just absolutely beautiful. Anyway, then we've got things like the head-up display, which keeps my eyes up on the road, which I'm very happy to be looking at right now with things like the speed and also my navigation route guidance. Then you've got the gauge cluster, which is very easy to read, nice crystal clear graphics, and you can reorient the system as you like. I have it right now in the reduced setting, but you can change up the content so you've got trip data or really anything you want to see, media information or your navigation kind of duplicated here on the screen. It's nice how adjustable that is. And then you come over to the infotainment. And I didn't spend a lot of time talking about this. I mentioned the wireless Apple CarPlay. That's great, so I can keep my phone on the wireless charging pad, not need to plug in over here. But also the CarPlay takes over the whole screen, which is an excellent use of this real estate. And then beyond that, this screen looks a little convoluted, but you don't actually need to go into that very often. You can customize your home screen to have whatever widgets are most important to you right there as quick selects. The only thing that is, gosh darn it, this is just beautiful. The only thing that is somewhat more buried than I would like are the climate control adjustments. You have to touch the screen to bring up your seat heating or steering wheel heating, and then you press up one for each adjustment of the temperature, and that is just a little more distracting than I would like, taking my eyes off the road for an extra second, when a more intuitive knob down here, like the volume knob, which is great BMW, would do that better. And the last, what I'll call plus column for the M2 CS as a road tripper, is really kind of splitting the difference between great and not so great. The fuel economy beat all of the EPA estimates. I mean, 24.5 miles per gallon for a car like this, granted, mostly highway driving, is pretty solid. But the fact that the fuel tank is as small as it is still means I'm going to need to fill up more regularly than someone who wants to really pour on the miles is going to want to do. Moving into what I would call the okay column, things that are just acceptable as a road tripper. The sound system, it's fine. The clarity is actually quite good, but the bass is very underwhelming, even after I'd dialed it up sort of off camera, just not that great. And it didn't effectively block out the outside noise unless I absolutely cranked it up. But that's more a function of the lack of sound deadening, specifically in this CS, and just all of the tire hum. The next thing in the okay column would be these seats, because I was pleasantly surprised at how solid the pad, not solid, how good the padding is for the bottom cushion. But the fact that my legs are locked into their positions, and more importantly, that this upper back design, not the adjusting bolster, but just the shape of the seat is pinching in on my upper back, does become tedious after more than 2 hours in the saddle. But I guess that matches up with the small fuel tank, because you'll need to stop semi-regularly to put fuel back in the car. But then that does require you to get in and out of the seats, which with the high fixed side bolsters and the carbon fiber hump require a lot of coordination, careful coordination to safely make your way in and out. And now we get into the, well, I can't call them needs improvement categories because they are sort of normal attributes for a track-focused car like this. But, you know, for a road trip setting, you won't love these things. It is very loud in here, I said that already, but man, on certain road surfaces, you can barely hear yourself think, which if you're by yourself, like I have been on this road trip, is something you really would like to do. Or if you're with someone else, you'd like to have a conversation with them, you will be raising your voice quite a bit, not shouting, but definitely talking loudly to get your points across. Then we have the sun visors, and I am so grateful for the ceramic window tint because it never really got hot inside the cabin, but it was still bright because I have 70% transparency. Maybe if you got a darker shade of tint, it wouldn't be as big of an issue. But this degree of sliding is just not enough. The sun is just gonna be here for a good portion of the day, and you just have no protection from that. But by far, the most, wow, it's so foggy now, the most heinous crime that the M2 CS commits as a road trip vehicle is the lack of a cup holder in the console. It's actually beyond just a cup holder, just storage is so limited. I've got the spot for my phone on the wireless charging pad, that's good. I've got a key slot for the key fob, and I have this tiny cubby here, which is surrounded by beautiful gloss carbon fiber that I don't want to scratch up. So I put very few things in here, really just a granola bar and my sunglasses, because there isn't dedicated storage for those. But this is just, it's so not usable. And when I have a drink that is filled where it would spill out, it cannot go in this slanted cup holder here. So I have to drink it down, and then I can put it in the other cup holder, which is also slanted. So it really just, you can't have a cup of coffee, for goodness sakes, with you without being worried that it's going to slosh out onto your lovely carpets. And the door pockets are really small as well, so how dare you? With all that said, I've really enjoyed this drive. It hasn't been a labor to add what will be about 550 miles to the odometer so that in future videos, I can properly exploit the performance of the CS. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you again next time.